And welcome everyone to the Sold-Out America West Arena in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. It's game 2 of our TNT NBA doubleheader. A good one tonight. The two-time Eastern Conference defending champion Detroit Pistons against the Phoenix Suns, who had the best record in the NBA a season ago. And our lineup tonight here in Phoenix has Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, and Chauncey Billups for the Pistons, who are unbeaten at 4-0 against the 2-2 Suns with Boris Diaw, Shawn Marion, Kurt Thomas, Raja Bell, and Steve Nash. Kevin Harlan with Doug Collins and Cheryl Miller. And Doug, you're watching the Prince-Marion matchup tonight.
Yeah, Kev, this should be a great matchup. Normally, Shawn Marion's been playing the power forward position, but with Boris Diaw starting tonight, Shawn Marion will slide over to that small forward position. Two great athletic small forwards. That will be fun to watch. Phoenix needs to have a big game from Shawn Marion.
The officials tonight, Jimmy Clark, Phil Robinson, Pat Frayer. The Detroit Pistons, the only undefeated team remaining in the NBA. And Billups by Nash. And the ball was broken up on the pass. And here comes the NBA's #1 assist man, Steve Nash.
You know, Kevin, just to follow up on the starting lineup, Boris Diaw's in the game right now to give Steve Nash another ball handler out there with his starting group. This is Shawn Marion with the jumper, but when we were talking to Mike D'Antoni before the game, he said, we just have not had enough pop with that starting lineup. Too much Steve Nash, not enough of the other guys handling the basketball. So Diaw's going to help him in that area to try to get more movement with this starting team.
Detroit is coming off a win. They beat Sacramento Tuesday by 14 in California. The tip-in try by Wallace. The rebound inside collected by Kurt Thomas, and the quick outlet to Steve Nash. A lot of blue defense back there. Nash.
Well, that's what they want to do, push the ball early offense. When Detroit gets their defense set, they are very difficult to score against. If you want to know a key tonight for Phoenix, it's rebound, rebound, rebound. They gave up 20 offensive rebounds to Sacramento the other night.
Nice assist by Rasheed Wallace inside to Chauncey Billups. The Phoenix Suns losing here Sunday by 1 to Sacramento. So they haven't played since Sunday. They come in, as I said, 2 up and 2 down. Billups is on Nash. Nash to Kurt Thomas.
Okay, when you think of the Phoenix Suns, 2 home games here they've had, a double overtime loss. First game of the season, they blew a 17-point lead, then lose a 1-point game to Sacramento. They're 2 possessions away from being 4-0. That's how fragile it all is.
Tayshaun Prince. And Rip Hamilton is picked up by Raja Bell with the shot clock down to 2. A screen by Ben Wallace and a rebound by Shawn Marion. Nash to Thomas. Stripped by Hamilton. That's Boris Diaw. Bell for 3. What a start for the Phoenix Suns.
A very welcome sight. Looks like they've had 3 good practices after that tough loss. Detroit, after their win in Sacramento, getting off to a very slow start here, but this is what Mike D'Antoni wanted. He wanted to shake up that starting lineup. There's energy in the building. They're playing well. Their defense has been good. And when Steve Nash gets into the lane, he will find the open man. Kurt Thomas is off to a good start, so this was the script that Mike D'Antoni was looking for. Raja Bell, who's been very quiet, only 14 total points in his last 2 games after averaging 16 in the first 2 games, was not on the floor the last 7 minutes of the game. He or James Jones, the other starters. So Mike D'Antoni still trying to find out who his team is here, Kev.
And Doug, how about your keys tonight?
Well, rebound, rebound, rebound is the first one I talked about. Move the ball. When you play against Detroit, you cannot get stagnant. And the bench effect. The bench has been terrific, but now with Boris Diaw being a starter, we'll have to see if that has a trickle-down effect to this game.
No changes out of the timeout as you take a look at last year's NBA Coach of the Year, Mike D'Antoni. Here's Chauncey Billups with a Ben Wallace screen and a little pick and roll, and covered well down low by Diaw. And a foul inside. Boris Diaw, as Doug said earlier on, starting tonight. They had been starting James Jones, who was an acquisition and a sign and trade with the Indiana Pacers as Diaw picks up his first. Let's delve a little bit deeper into this change.
Well, Boris Diaw at 6'8", 6'9", can go out on the floor, and as a power forward, he can make plays for you. When Steve Nash was out there with the other four starters, the way they were playing, he was one creating for everybody. Here's that quick release by Rip Hamilton off the screen. They needed someone out there to help him, and this is what Diaw can do. He can run the floor. He gets caught for steps on that play, but you can't just ask Steve Nash to make all the plays. So you're going to see Nash with either Barbosa or Diaw. I don't think you'll ever see him out there without one of those guys out there with him.
Pistons have started hitting 2 of their first 5 shots. And here's Ben Wallace to Rasheed Wallace. Rasheed is struggling with his shot to begin things. Now he works on Boris Diaw.
He is such a tough matchup, though. Rasheed Wallace can get out on the floor, shoot the three, he can post. He's a terrific defender.
Suns have hit 4 of their first 5 shots. Kurt Thomas, and he is struggling with his shot. May have in fact been deflected on the play, and here comes Chauncey Billups. Tayshaun Prince, he had a dynamite third quarter against Sacramento on Tuesday.
Well, his last 2 games, Kevin, 27 points against Toronto, 25 against Sacramento, 19 in the third quarter, 7 of 7 from the floor. Here's a careless pass by Sean Marion.
And a 4-on-2 with Tayshaun Prince launching a 3 and a rebound by the always present Ben Wallace.
That's what I'm talking about, multiple shots. The Suns shot 56% the other night against Sacramento, scored 117 points, and did not win the game because they got 13 more attempts. Sacramento had 13 more attempts, and Ben Wallace stepping out and knocking down the jump shot.
And that gives the Detroit Pistons their first lead after trailing by 7. Every starter has scored for the Pistons. 4 of the 5 starters have scored for the Phoenix Suns. A 3 by Diaw. A little bit of a screen down low, too, by Steve Nash.
Well, if he makes that shot, he's going to be tough to defend because normally you don't play him out there. You don't respect that jump shot. And if he will ever get the confidence to shoot that ball from that kind of distance, he will really step up his game.
Nash is on Billups. Hamilton running off a Rasheed Wallace screen. There's another screen by Wallace, and that time it was set for Chauncey Billups, whose shot has not been falling as we're accustomed to. It hits one right there and ties the game at 12. Sean Marion. And there's another rebound by Ben Wallace.
Now, this is something you're seeing out of the Pistons this year. They're being a lot more aggressive on the fast break, actually second in the league in fast break points. So trying to stay aggressive after the defense down on the offense, looking for quick baskets.
Rebounding is even so far. Nash. Billups was defending and a foul called on Chauncey Billups. And that is the first on him. Well, we took a look moments ago what Phoenix needs to do tonight. What about the 4-0 Suns under the leadership of Flip Saunders?
Well, anytime you play Phoenix, you always have to defend the 3. Interestingly enough, the Pistons' opponents are shooting 22% from the 3-point line, have averaged only 2 made 3s a game. So they do a great job of that. Second chance points. They want to hammer the offensive boards. And then this matchup with Prince and Marion, I think, is critical, especially for Phoenix. They need a big game from Marion, and Tayshaun Prince is a terrific defender.
With perhaps the best starting 5 in the NBA.
Absolutely. Everybody talks about all these other teams. Detroit is the most stable. They professionally come out, do their job every night, not a whole lot of fanfare, an incredibly unselfish team. They bring out the best in each other.
Nash was defending Billups on the shot. Chauncey Billups has started 3 of 4. And he is the game-high scorer with 6. Raja Bell, the ex-Utah Jazz player. Rebound by Thomas. Another Bell shot from 3, no good. And Ben Wallace wiping the glass clean.
Watch for Chauncey Billups to be very aggressive tonight. They want Nash to work on both ends of the floor. Here's Rip Hamilton going against Raja Bell, who's a tough defender. But you're going to see Chauncey Billups tonight below the foul line a lot, Kevin. So you're going to get Nash having to play 94 feet. He wants to play 75 feet from foul line to the other basket. They're going to get him down on that baseline and make him work, screen him, and try to wear him out, make him play all 94 feet.
Raja Bell just picked up his first foul. And there is a Detroit foul inside. And Rip Hamilton picks up his first for the Detroit Pistons in first place in the Central Division. And the Phoenix Suns are in third place right now in the Pacific Division. DL by both Wallaces. Rashid knocked it away. 3-on-3 Hamilton. Billups, who's got the hot hand and continues that way. Chauncey Billups has got a game-high 8, starting 4 of 5 from the field.
That's what you'll see with Detroit. They'll go to the hot hand. That's the strength of their team. It could be Billups one quarter. It could be Prince. It could be Rip Hamilton. And looks like Diaw with a push in the back on Ben Wallace. But that quick start now for Phoenix has started going into the books here a little bit as Detroit's starting to get their legs playing at this kind of tempo.
Diaw has picked up his second foul for the Phoenix Suns as you're watching the NBA on TNT.
Welcome back to America West, where the Suns are trailing the Pistons by 2. Well, Detroit is certainly off to their best start, 4-0 since the 1996-97 seasons. But last season, that was not the case when they got off to a very sluggish start. They finished the month of November 7-7. I had the opportunity to talk to Rip Hamilton and ask him what caused that sluggish start. I said, was it because of a championship hangover? This is what he had to say.
I totally agree we had a championship hangover, you know. I mean, I could say I did. I could say everybody on our team did, because when you win a championship and you just think that, okay, I can just show up, you know. You look at all the great teams, the Bulls, the Lakers, you know, the Pistons back in the day. You just thought that them teams just showed up and guys were so intimidated by you that you were just going to walk right over them. But we realized that every game we played was a championship game for the other team.
And that is something, Doug Collins, that this team, I think, now has changed this year. A different gear, better focus. And you mentioned today, beginning with most of their early season games on the road is key.
I think it gives you an edge. I think as a veteran team, you'd like to go out on the road. Sometimes you play a lot of home games and get sloppy because you can develop bad habits and still win some games. And they want Game 7 of those deciding series in their building. They don't want to have to go to Miami or Indiana or one of those places and win a Game 7 like they had to do last year.
Rip Hamilton taps it in. We have some changes for the Phoenix Suns. James Jones has come in the game for the first time. Leandro Barbosa with the ball and feeding to Kurt Thomas, who was open on the baseline. So it's Marion, Barbosa, James Jones, Steve Nash, and Kurt Thomas.
And now what you'll see is when Nash goes out, Diaw will come back in, so they'll always have a couple playmakers on the floor. You can see what Mike D'Antoni's going to try to do with his rotations.
And as we said, the starters are still out there for the Detroit Pistons. Here's Tayshaun Prince. He the recipient of a brand new 5-year, $49 million contract. Rebound by James Jones. And here comes Steve Nash, who led the NBA in assists a year ago, as he does now.
Leandro Barbosa coming off a 23-point game in 24 minutes against Sacramento. Hit a big three late that looked like it was going to win the game before 2 free throws by Abdul Rahim in Sacramento gave them a 1-point lead.
We've had 3 ties and 3 late changes to start the game, and inside goes Chauncey Billups, and Barbosa, the Brazilian, was there and picks up the foul. Number 1 on him.
Can we talk about the starting team of Phoenix? And this is sort of an amazing stat, but the first 4 games with Steve Nash in the game, you can see what they were outscored. -12 against Dallas, -2, -8. And you can see what off the floor, they were +47. This is one of the reasons why that Mike D'Antoni changed his starting lineup. He said, I had to get Steve Nash some help. We were wearing him out, and we were making him do too much. We had too many stand-up players out there waiting for him to make plays. So we'll see what kind of effect this has and how it will also affect Steve Nash. But Barbosa is a critical guy because this is a guy who can put up points in a hurry.
Phoenix Suns winless at home after posting their best record overall last season. They had 31 wins here last year. Screen by Marion. Billups knocked away. The switch with Ben Wallace on the defense of the dribbling Steve Nash. Now at the shot clock at 4, it's Barbosa picked up by Hamilton. And right there is Leandro Barbosa, and a guy, Doug, who appears to be growing in confidence every game.
And he's a guy that needs to play with great confidence. He has a tendency sometimes to get down on himself. He doesn't have that luxury this year. They need him to be in that rotation and play well.
That's the rebounding story with Phoenix +1 inside the collision with Kurt Thomas and Ben Wallace. And Kurt Thomas, who was in the East with the New York Knicks, has seen Ben Wallace off in the first foul on Thomas.
These are the little wrinkles that Flip Saunders has in his offense. He calls them counters, where Rip Hamilton will run a specific play, and you look for him coming off the screen. After about the 3rd time, you have Ben Wallace slip that screen, steps up and makes that free throw. So Ben Wallace Defensive Player of the Year last year, the heart and soul of this Detroit team. He anchors that terrific defense.
Barbosa for three. And now the Phoenix Suns have gone 3 of 4, shooting 3 ball tonight, and the Detroit Pistons have missed on their only 3-point attempt.
And you watch where Billups goes. He's going right underneath that foul line, and if they double, he'll kick it out. If not, he'll post up, and that's what they want to do against Steve Nash.
Chauncey Billups has had a terrific first quarter with 12 points. And he's been asking to take more shots. He's got the green light from Flip Saunders, and already we're seeing some of the residual effect of that. He's got 12, the only player in double figures tonight so far.
But you can see where he's operating down on that foul line. Now what will happen is if Phoenix comes down to double team, you've got your point guard passing out of the post. It's what Magic Johnson used to do a lot with the Lakers. As a point guard, go down and post up, and he'd play point guard out of the post-up position.
It's Steve Nash with the floater over Rasheed Wallace. And the rebound by Rasheed, who kicks it out to UConn's Rip Hamilton. And Chauncey Billups by Marion, and dishing inside to Ben Wallace, and out of bounds it goes. That is the third turnover. Flip Saunders, who had 8 consecutive playoff seasons with the Minnesota Timberwolves, takes the place of Larry Brown. And the Pistons showing the effects, up by 3 here and undefeated so far this season. The Detroit Pistons on top, leading scorer so far with 13 points is Chauncey Billups. One of the real interesting stories in the NBA. 2 years at Colorado, came out as the 3rd overall selection in the draft. Dougie played for 4 teams in 4 years. Then he goes to Minnesota, and he gets Flip Saunders on his side. Saunders really pounded home the effects of being a quality point guard in the NBA, and Chauncey will concede that resuscitated his career.
And interestingly, when he went there, he went to be a backup for Terrell Brandon, who at that point in time was one of the best point guards in the NBA, had knee problems, had to retire. Chauncey found a home, found a coach who believed in him. Because the rest is history, the MVP of the NBA Finals, and now these guys are reunited once again.
And here is Pat Burke with the shot, along with Eddie House out there, Barbosa, Brian Grant, and James Jones. Not a starter to be found on the Phoenix floor right now. Detroit has put in Antonio McDyess, and Maurice Evans is also out there, joining Billups, Wallace, and Tayshaun Prince. A miss by House, and out of bounds it goes. It's off the Detroit Pistons with 2:11 to play in the first quarter here from Phoenix.
Now we'll start to see the effects of these benches as both coaches start to substitute. One of the things about this Detroit team, they have a better bench than they did last year, Kevin. When they won the championship a couple seasons ago, they got a lot of production off their bench. Last year that slipped. This is a more potent Detroit bench.
Barbosa with the miss across the lane, retrieves its own miss. Shot clock reset. Carlos Arroyo is in, and there is a 3 by James Jones. Rebound by Eddie House, the former Pac-10 Player of the Year at Arizona State.
Long shots mean long rebounds. Your guards have to get back there and rebound the basketball.
House to Burke, a left-handed shooter. Rebound by Tayshaun Prince, 4 years at Kentucky, and he has been a star in the NBA with his numbers climbing each and every season.
Actually, at his coming out party the 1 year in the playoffs, they were down 3-1 to Orlando, went in and played McGrady, did a good job in him. They won the last 3 to win that series. Looked like they were going to be knocked out in the first round.
Pistons are shooting right now 61%. McDyess used to play for Phoenix on 2 separate occasions. Rebound is off the Phoenix Suns, and Detroit will have it back.
Well, it's interesting. Phoenix was able to get Steve Nash really because they got McDyess in a trade. He had a $13 million deal that ran out, which gave them cap room, so he helped them get Steve Nash.
This is Prince, Tayshaun Prince, who was born and raised in Los Angeles. With the big shot right there, giving the Pistons their biggest lead tonight of 5. 41% shooting for the Phoenix Suns. And there's a foul on Carlos Arroyo. Right here. That's the first on him.
They need him to really be consistent this year. Carlos Arroyo is a guy who has great games, and then he has some games where he's very inconsistent. We saw him over in the Olympics. He was terrific for Puerto Rico in the Olympics in Athens, but he needs to be consistent, and he's been that thus far. We talked to Flip before the games. He's done a nice job for him.
James Jones, 7 consecutive misses for the Phoenix Suns. Rebound by McDyess, and triggers it to Arroyo. McDyess screen. Arroyo. Nice defense by Eddie House, and here come the Phoenix Suns.
Well, you cannot run away from the ball with Eddie House. It looked like the Detroit Pistons ran away and just left the basket open at the last minute. Rasheed Wallace tried to come over, but Eddie House has one thing on his mind when he's in the game, and that's shoot the basketball.
Sounds like Doug Collins.
My kind of role.
No fouls to give either way. Rasheed Wallace picked up by Brian Grant.
Just too big for Brian Grant. Brian Grant working so hard down there, trying to battle through a lot of knee problems. Actually, he's been playing pretty good basketball, but Rasheed too long down there in that low post.
Phoenix Suns went up by 7 to begin the game. Pistons now up by 5, so a 12-point swing in this first quarter long. Shot clock is off. The big clock showing 5, and Barbosa dishing to Jones and Grant. Nice fake with Wallace fighting on a miss at the buzzer, and that takes us to the conclusion of the first. So the Pistons come back. First place team in the Central, the NBA's lone undefeated team, shooting 59% in the first quarter and leading the Suns 30-25 at the end of one on TNT. With Doug Collins and Cheryl Miller, this is Kevin Harlan. We're in downtown Phoenix where the Detroit Pistons trailed early by 7 at the end of one period. Doug, they're up by 5, 30-25.
Well, Kevin, I know it's early in the season, only 4 games, but you can just see how well Detroit is playing. Their point differential, plus 17, outshooting the teams by 6%. Their three-point field goals, their opponents 17, they're outshooting them by 17%. Actually, the opponents are only shooting 22%. Almost 11 rebound differential, the assists. This is a very professional, well-coached, disciplined team, and you got to give Flip Saunders a lot of credit. He didn't come in here and try to reinvent the wheel. He knows what this team is, and he's taken the strengths and that what Larry Brown has brought to this team. He's added the things that he does best. He's put it together, and they're playing well.
The attacking Barbosa, who is out there with Eddie House in the backcourt. They've got Burke and James Jones and Grant up front. Here comes Carlos Arroyo with Maurice Evans and Tayshaun Prince, along with Rasheed Wallace and Antonio McDyess. Those are the lineups beginning the second quarter. Carlos Arroyo from Puerto Rico. Evans, the ex-Sacramento King, hustling and gets it out to Tayshaun Prince, and a fresh 24 for the Detroit Pistons.
Well, you better get a body on Maurice Evans. Kevin, we did a game last year in Sacramento when he was playing. He had almost 5 tip dunks at the basket. I think he only got 1 of them, but his hand is up there around that rim all the time.
McDyess, the Olympian from 2000. We told you before he's had a couple stints here in Phoenix. And now the bench for Phoenix has outscored Detroit 11-2. Those are the first 2 Detroit bench points tonight. And the bench has been a real positive in this season so far for the Pistons. Barbosa.
Yeah, it's a much improved bench. They've got a little scoring now. That, you know, you think about it, when they won the championship, they had Corliss Williams coming off the bench, Okur, they had Mike James. Last year, their bench slipped a little bit. Guys they were counting on did not quite come through for them. And then look what they've done this year. See, the championship year, almost 27 points. Last year, it slipped almost 7 points. Now, back up to 26 points. And this is not by accident. Joe Dumars has built the team this way. He's gone out and get guys who fit in here. And Flip Saunders, when I talked to him before the game, he said, I made a conscious effort to play the bench a lot in preseason so that they would be ready to help us once the season started, and that is paying dividends.
Evans just picked up his first foul for the Pistons. You're right, Doug. They wanted to replenish and rejuvenate that bench because it had been the weak link. And when you've got a bench like this with some pretty notable guys in there, beefed up with the addition of Maurice Evans, you know, Flip Saunders has a history of using a lot of guys.
Well, and you have to in a long season, especially if you're going to go deep into the playoffs. You start talking about with exhibitions, regular season, playoff games, playing up 115 games. You better have some depth on your team. That's what Phoenix is hoping for this year, to be deeper.
Chauncey Billups, the game-high scorer with 13, the only player in double figures. There's a move inside by McDyess and called for the travel and a turnover, number 4 on the Detroit Pistons. Billups on the bench with a game-high 13. And slowly but surely, they're going to bring back the starters in the game. Here's Rip Hamilton getting off the bench. He'll check in momentarily for the Detroit Pistons. Undefeated 4-0, 2-0 on the road. And Leandro Barbosa with a rebound, try inside, claimed by McDyess. Arroyo hit a big shot the other night against the Toronto Raptors. Shot clock is down to 6. And this is the University of Texas's Maurice Evans. Rebound by Brian Grant. Out to Eddie House, who's picked up by Tayshaun Prince. A second-team all-defensive player last year. And Prince with the steal and a quick Phoenix foul. Eddie House reaching in.
Eddie House, really not a guy who's going to make plays off screens for someone else. He's going to really look for his own shot that time. The Detroit Pistons did a nice job getting their hands in the passing lane. But with this group on the floor, with Antonio McDyess playing against Sean Marion, they're going to have to rebound the ball. He's going to have to get out and get involved in this game. He only has 2 points. They cannot win the game if he does not throw up a big game. They don't have enough firepower without him scoring.
So Ben Wallace and Rip Hamilton back in the game for the Detroit Pistons. Here is Maurice Evans. Really honed his game overseas. This inside by McDyess. Out of bounds it goes. And the Pistons will have it. House is out. And Boris Diaw is back in the game. You know, really the best minutes for Diaw went with the Atlanta Hawks the last couple years, came at the point guard. We're talking about a guy who's 6'8".
Well, the thing about it is now he's playing in that position against a bigger player, so it's easier for him now. He's not getting guarded by smaller players. There's a careless play by Maurice Evans as he tries to hit Rip Hamilton coming off that screen, but Boris Diaw now is playing against somebody his own size or maybe a little bit bigger, and he has the quickness advantage.
Raja Bell in the game, and here's a pickup by Brian Grant. Sean Marion wide open. Rebound by Grant. Shoved on the play by Maurice Evans.
Well, this is a very athletic Detroit bench now that they come in with Maurice Evans, Arroyo. We have not seen Delfino. We have not seen Milicic yet. And at one point in time, Antonio McDyess, before he had those knee injuries, could jump and run as well as any power forward in the NBA. It's good to see him back, but he had to adjust his game completely with those injuries.
Evans picked up his second personal foul. 3 by James Jones, who was number 25 a season ago in three-point shooting with the Indiana Pacers at the urging of Reggie Miller.
He has to get that gunslinger mentality, though. He's really never had that before. He's got to, he misses shots. He's got to keep taking them.
Pistons are shooting 52%. Rip Hamilton inside. And off the hands of Evans and out of bounds. So a closer game, and back and forth it is gone. Detroit has started the second quarter going 1 of 6. Phoenix has jumped on them now, down by a point. 8.5 to play in the half. Suns have led by as many as 7. Pistons, big lead, jumped as high as 5 in a game that has had 3 late changes and 5 ties. With Doug Collins and Cheryl Miller, this is Kevin Harlan. The leading scorer with 13 points for the Pistons is Chauncey Billups. And Chauncey is still resting on the Detroit bench. 10 points for Leandro Barbosa.
And a 15-2 lead for that Phoenix bench, so that's a very positive sign once again for Mike D'Antoni.
40% shooting for the Suns, a good shot outside. And that is the 5th three-point hit for the Phoenix Suns to begin the game. 5, they can mark it a 2-point shot, but they have hit 4 three-pointers to start things. And Delfino is coming for the first time for the Detroit Pistons. Carlos Delfino from Argentina. Feeding Antonio McDyess, covered by James Jones.
Well, he's too big for James Jones inside. Antonio McDyess knows that, just took his time, and that's his little patented turnaround jump shot. Boy, James Jones has gotten off to a great start here tonight. Maybe more comfortable coming off the bench. That's what he's done his entire career. Maybe feel more comfortable in that role. Feel free to shoot the ball. And not be afraid to take the misses. Miss 3 or 4 in a row, take that 5th one.
Yeah, he only had 24 starts last year for the Indiana Pacers, a part-time starter, but his best numbers were off the bench. As you take a look at Steve Nash coming back into the game. And Hamilton will be at the free throw line in the defensive 3-second. And so the free throw shooting in the game, Pistons a perfect 4 of 4 and 3 of 4 shooting for the Suns so far.
Okay, when you want to talk about a real asset late in games, and I'm going to jinx him here, but Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups and Tayshaun Prince are terrific free throw shooters. So you get in close games and the ball in those guys' hands, They all shoot upwards of 85 to 89%. Rip Hamilton has been 14 of 17 going into the game tonight before he missed that free throw.
Here's Billups against Nash, and McDyess screen, little pick and roll. And this is Carlos Delfino. Had 2 knee operations a season ago, but is back now. Billups saves it. Delfino grabs it, and a lot on the shot clock with which to work.
McDyess wants that ball inside against Sean Marion. He's feeling it right now, and Chauncey Billups is doing a great job of finding the hot hand.
And that's one thing that Flip Saunders always has done.
Ride out the hot hand. You know, until another team can stop it, don't go away from it.
Suns are looking for their first home win. Marion for 3. And the Pistons now just trail the Suns by 1 rebound. The reason why we keep bringing up the rebounding is because Phoenix amongst the worst rebounding teams in the NBA.
Well, getting rebounded almost 10 a game. See if they go back to McDyess again. He wants that ball inside. This has been their pet play.
Shot clock at 3. Billups, a wide open Delfino. Late on the defense, and Delfino makes him pay. It's a 2 for Carlos Delfino, who's on that Argentinian Olympic gold medal winning team. Nash hitting at the other end. But Delfino has a pretty good history. His dad is a professional coach in Argentina. And as we said before, he was a member of that gold medal winning team in 04 in Athens.
Here's what they want to go to. Sean Marion can't handle him down there. They went away from him the last possession. Go right back in there, make the Suns adjust. Sean Marion has got to get himself involved in this game right now. He's drifting out on that perimeter. There's where they need him.
Great
right there.
Pass. Steve Nash inside to Sean Marion. Nash picks up his 3rd assist, and Sean Marion's got 4. It's Billups again. Knocked away inside by James Jones. He triggers it to Nash. 3-on-3. Ben Wallace defending Nash. Rebound inside is claimed by Antonio McDyess. It's Billups and Hamilton with McDyess and Ben Wallace and Carlos Delfino for the Detroit Pistons. Nash and Marion with Thomas and Raja Bell and James Jones. McDyess again. Rebound inside, foul guard. It's Billups. Pump fake that opens up the 3. A killer 3 by Chauncey Billups.
Now see, Ben Wallace just jumped 3 times, kept the ball alive, and got his team 3 points.
And Marion at the other end with another great assist inside. Nash picks up his 4th assist.
I like it. The last 2 possessions, Sean Marion has got in the lane. He's got a nice little shot off the glass and a powerful slam dunk. That's what he has to bring, activity.
And the dive inside by Billups, who's got a game-high 16 points and a foul. It's inside on Phoenix. It's assessed on James Jones, with the Pistons holding on to a 2-point lead.
Well, Sean Marion had been very, very quiet from the field. He's only 1 of 4. He's hit his last 2 shots. This one a powerful dunk, reminiscent of Amari Stoudemire. They need a little oomph in their game here tonight.
The Pistons have led by as many as 5 and trailed by as many as 7. For the Phoenix Suns, a team which won 62 games a season ago, the most in the NBA, a lot of adjustments this year. From newcomers to the pace, to the coaching, to the loss of Amari Stoudemire.
I usually, on the other hand, I've been setting more. I done set more screens in the first 4 games. I done set my whole career. So at the same time, it was. I was like, man, you know, it's a different set of adjustment for me because I'm usually the one who's filling in, and but I'm setting the screens and having the roll, and that's not, you know, I mean, I'm still trying to get a feel for that, really. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it was an adjustment for me in the first 4 games, definitely.
Well, Kevin, he was the guy who played off Amari Stoudemire and Nash. So when Amari Stoudemire would set that screen and roll through, in many instances, it was Sean Marion's man who would come over and help. So when they would swing the ball to him, he would be free now to attack the basket without running a play for him. So you could see what he's doing this year. He's doing a great job. Look at his rebounds. #1 in the league, almost 14 a game. His field goal percentage, almost 20 points a night. And this is what they need from him. He's a guy that can give you 20 and 10 or 11 every single night without ever running a play for him. That's the kind of talent that he brings and the activity level.
Pistons are 4 of 5. Another miss by Chauncey Billups. The Suns from the free throw line are 3 of 4. Boris Diaw has come back onto the court. He's out there with Nash and Raja Bell and Kurt Thomas along with Marion. The Detroit Pistons have Delfino and Billups with Hamilton out there. Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace is back off the Flip Saunders Detroit Piston bench.
Showing a little zone here. Flip Saunders talked about this. Is this zone where he puts Ben Wallace at the top to take away the screen rolls. This is what he used to do with Kevin Garnett in Minnesota.
Flip Saunders probably as good an architect of an NBA zone as there is. This is Raja Bell. Who had a very obscure beginning, got a 10-day tryout with Larry Brown and the Philadelphia 76ers, made his mark right there. Defense's calling card, culminating with the career year a season ago with the Utah Jazz. It's Hamilton, great ball rotation, a wide open Delfino again, and again he makes Phoenix pay with no defense on him.
Well, he's been the recipient of the extra pass twice now.
Diallo is covered heavily inside. Marion trying to tap it in. Marion is the #1 rebounder in the NBA.
Danger time here for Phoenix right now. Detroit likes to make a push at the end of quarters. They did in the first quarter, 10-5 run. Phoenix cannot let themselves get down double digits here going into half.
And a foul is inside. It's on Ben Wallace, an offensive foul on the defending NBA Defensive Player of the Year. That's the first on Big Ben. And he is in a contract season. At 31 years of age, he is the oldest of the 5 starters for the Detroit Pistons.
Here's the zone once again. Yeah. Ben Wallace up at the top, and what they want to do is take away that screen roll. So the wings might be the guys who get the open shot. Raja Bell just hit one. Let's see if James Jones can free himself up.
The Suns are shooting 45%. Here's a 3 by Nash. A rebound inside by Wallace. 54% shooting for the Detroit Pistons. Rip Hamilton, and that is an offensive foul.
Rip there just got in a little bit of a hurry. He saw that Steve Nash was playing him. Instead of taking his time, he tried to do it with speed. He's got the size here. Just take your time, get to that open area, and you can turn around and shoot that little jump shot. Steve Nash read the move perfectly, and Rip picked up the foul.
Rip picks up his second. Raja Bell. Delfino is on Nash. Hamilton is on Bell. Inside they go, and Diallo across the lane. A 3 by Bell. Make it a 2. His foot was on the line. Raja Bell hitting from outside.
Great offense against the zone, though, Kevin. You get the ball moving, you get penetration, it brings the defense into the paint, and then you can kick out for open shots.
Billups for 3. Marion had the ball and lost it. It is Phoenix's ball. So we've got 2.5 to play in the half. The Phoenix Suns are trying to go to 5-0 for the first time since 1988. But they're in Phoenix, a tough place to win. Pistons by 1. After trailing early by 7, Detroit has led most of this second quarter. Tomorrow night on ESPN, the Sixers take on the Lakers. The Pistons take on the Trailblazers. Coverage 7:30 Eastern. Saturday, NBA TV gives you San Antonio at Washington. Coverage 7 o'clock Eastern time. With Doug Collins and the greatest female basketball player in the history of the sport, Cheryl Miller. Kevin Harlan here. We saw Cheryl's brother Reggie with the guys down in Miami. And that is a very interesting number with Nash in the game and out of the game.
Well, what's happened is the benches come in and played very, very well. Steve's been out there with the starters, and Detroit got off to a great start in that first period. That's what you'd like to see from Boris Diaw. Drive that ball to the basket, be aggressive. I think this close of the half is very, very important to Phoenix confidence-wise. They know they're playing against the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Here's Tayshaun Prince back in the game. Rasheed Wallace is picked up down low by 6'8" Boris Diaw. Now Phoenix trails Detroit by just 1 rebounding. Number tonight. Diaw. What a great move. Moving with such precision and agility inside.
Well, you see that with Rasheed Wallace on him. Rasheed normally moves his feet very well. He's been sitting on the bench for a while. He's a little stiff coming in. And Boris Diaw is taking that ball to the basket twice. I think it's going to be a technical foul on Ben Wallace. He's been upset over the last few minutes about some calls. Well, Phoenix looking for anything they can to get the momentum going into the halftime.
Phoenix is on a 6-0 run, and here is Steve Nash. You know, Doug, when you watch him, Nash is a terrific free throw shooter. This season, a perfect 22 of 22. Nash just expends so much energy on the floor.
Well, because he's in the middle of everything, especially their offense. I mean, he creates most everything on the floor. That's why Diaw has been so important to this team, giving him another playmaker. And Barbosa coming in doing the same thing. That will help Steve Nash this season.
Well, look at Hamilton just running all over the floor off of one screen and another. Now the double team on Rasheed Wallace. The shot clock is at 4. Here is Prince, knocked away by the quick hands of Sean Marion, who was third a season ago in steals.
Well, Roger Bell's doing a nice job on Rip Hamilton here early in this game. You've got to do it for 48 minutes, but he's chasing him around all those screens and not getting that little shooting pocket that he likes around that elbow area.
Wide open Rasheed Wallace, and he burns the jump shot from 21. And the Pistons to within 2. Leading scorer with 17 points is Chauncey Billups. And here comes Rip Hamilton after Rasheed Wallace and knocked away by Boris Diaw on a foul on the newest son Diaw from France. That is the third on Diaw, and Ernie Johnson, he's got the most of any player in this game here. Let's go to you in our studios in Atlanta.
All right, Kevin, coming up in exactly 1 minute, it's the T-Mobile halftime report. Full house tonight with Kenny and Charles and Magic Johnson to break down the first half of this game. And the Rockets continue to struggle without Tracy McGrady. Highlights of their loss to the Heat. All ahead on the T-Mobile halftime report. Back to you, Kev.
EJ, thank you. And here is Rasheed Wallace at the line, 11 of 12 this season from the stripe.
Rasheed's a guy who did not shoot free throws well last year. Kevin shot under 70%, shooting the ball very, very well to get this season started. Had not shot it well from the perimeter. But he's the guy sometimes gets off to slow starts offensively. He picks up his game offensively as the season wears on. He gets himself into better shape as the year goes on. And at the end of the season, he's tough down on that low block.
Well, he checked into camp 20 pounds lighter this year than last year.
Well, I think you heard Rip talk about the championship hangover. A lot of them had it last season coming back.
Pick and roll, Nash and Thomas. Delfino is back in, grabbed the loose ball. Here comes Tayshaun Prince. Off to a terrific start to this season. Foul on the Phoenix Suns as the Pistons were moving inside, and Sean Marion was defending, and Sean picks up his first foul of the game. Plus, here comes James Jones. Tied at 50.
James Jones will be coming in here, offensive, defensive situation, try to get a 2-for-1 possession, maybe get a couple threes up here going into the half.
Well, if you want video highlights of tonight's game and every game, go to NBA.com. With Rasheed Wallace, with Ben Wallace, who is a career 42% free throw shooter. This season, 67%. And tonight, 1 of 2, now 1 of 3.
But also, Diaw has 3 fouls. You got to get him out here so he does not pick up his 4th going into the halftime.
The Pistons have a foul to give, and here comes Nash with his 6 assists and 7 points. Delfino defending. Oh, Sean Marion slams it down.
Those are the kind of plays that Stoudemire would bring that would get this crowd to their feet. Sometimes a dunk means more than 2, the emotional stamp that it puts on the game.
Nash is defending Billups. A difference of 2 seconds, game clock and shot clock, and as Chauncey was working his way across the lane, the veteran Kurt Thomas stuck his hand in and picked up a foul. That is the second on him.
Well, Sean Marion just goes right to the front of the rim, does not stand out on the outside of the court to watch the shot. Watch him here, he reads it perfectly. I've said I think he's the quickest jumper in the league at second jump, and this time he just exploded. And they've needed him here. He got off to a very slow start, 1 of 4. He's now 4 of 9, so picking up his game offensively.
Chauncey from the line tonight is 5 of 6, which means he is 23 of 24 from the free throw line this season. The Pistons down by a single point. After trailing early by 7, Detroit went up by 5, and then Phoenix got a little 6-0 roll late here in the second quarter.
Detroit has gone small now, so look for any kind of screen roll. They'll probably switch it and let their big man try to play Nash.
Pistons with a foul to give, a 3 to put on top. Rebound by Ben Wallace, who grabs onto his 6th rebound. That takes us to halftime. At the end of 1, Detroit led by 5. Now we are tied at 52. What a terrific first half here in Phoenix tonight.
Well played. Both teams shot the ball well. Benches came in and played well. Low turnovers, not a lot of fouls. This has been a very, very high-quality game, especially this early in the season. It's only 5th game of the season.
Well, the biggest surprise in camp, the newest addition from France, Boris Diaw, standing by with our Cheryl Miller.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Well, Boris may be the biggest surprise for the Suns, but you certainly have made the best of your start tonight. 7 points, and more importantly, defensively doing a very good job on Rasheed.
Yeah, we got to because we know they're pretty good because 5 players in the starting 5 can shoot the ball and can score. So it's a really difficult team to play.
So one of the reasons that coach wanted to make the adjustment as far as starting you in the lineup, inserting you in the lineup, was also getting more punch from your from your bench. 19 points, you got to be pleased with that.
Yeah, that's true. We try to, play a little bit faster and quicker and improve our defense too.
All right, good luck in a second.
All right, thanks.
All right, EJ, let's send it back to you.
Tonight's high-definition aerial photography is presented by Phillips. Detroit is led by 5. Phoenix is led by as many as 7. The Pistons, the only undefeated team remaining in the NBA. Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You said before the game, if Phoenix didn't rebound against the Pistons, there is no way they would win. We're tied at 52.
Well, impressively, they have 10 offensive rebounds, Kevin, which has given them 8 more shots at the basket. So even though Detroit has shot well over 50% and they've outshot the Suns have more shots at the basket because of their low turnovers and their offensive rebounding. If they can continue to do that, they got a great chance to win this game.
What about the benches for both teams tonight?
Well, both productive. I thought the Phoenix Suns bench, I talked about what would the effect of Diaw starting have on this bench. McDyess played very, very well off the bench for Detroit. We saw Delfino hit a couple shots. Barbosa was terrific with 10. Brian Grant came in, did a nice job. James Jones. Jimmy Jackson did not play tonight in the first half, but you can see 19-12 for Phoenix. The Phoenix bench averaging almost 38 points a game, so right on target for their average. And so the effect of moving Diaw into the starting lineup did not hurt the bench and the effectiveness because you had some guys come in and play very well.
The Detroit Pistons led by 5 at the end of the first quarter, in which Chauncey Billups put in 13. Billups is our game-high scorer with 19 points for Detroit. By the way, the Phoenix Suns are plus 8 points in the paint. An interesting number. You've referred to it before, but they don't have the size of Detroit. They certainly don't have the muscle of the Pistons, so that is a very positive number for a team that usually plays a lot outside on the perimeter.
Well, they get them in transition, either with quick screen rolls. We saw that with Marion a couple times, or penetration and drop downs from Steve Nash. The rebound, you see, again, we talked about Phoenix had 10 offensive rebound points in the paint. You talked about, Kevin. See, Detroit shot 53%. But Phoenix got 48 shots at the basket, only 40 for Detroit. I think in this third quarter, you're going to see Detroit get Rip Hamilton involved. He only took 4 shots in that first half. Chauncey Billups got it going. He's got 19. They know they can go back to him, that they need this man, Rip Hamilton. He's their leading scorer.
Doug, you've always talked about guys with a good pedigree. Well, I look at the coaches that Rip Hamilton has had in his career, beginning with Jim Calhoun at UConn. You coached him. Rick Carlisle, Larry Brown, Flip Saunders. I mean, if ever there was a player that has been the beneficiary of good guys talking to him, teaching him, leading him, it's that group I just mentioned.
Well, Rip is a very willing student, and he came in the league from UConn after winning the national championship there. He came in on a bad team in Washington, was putting up a lot of points. Started to play as a winning player, goes to Detroit, knows he has to get stronger, gets in the weight room. So you look at his body, you think, boy, he's very weak. That's not the case. He's a lot stronger than he looks. He's indefatigable. He can run all night long, as we've seen Nash load up the jump shot. But Rip has worked himself into being an all-star player and a champion. He was a champion in college, he's a champion in the NBA.
So you just had a look at our Jeep game summary. Here come the Detroit Pistons with Billups out there, the 2 Wallaces, Ben and Rasheed. And there's Rasheed feeding inside to Hamilton. We talked about Billups and Prince as the 5th starter for Detroit. Bell and Diaw, Thomas, Nash, and Marion, the Phoenix starting the second half, and a slashing move by Sean Marion.
Well, that's when he's at his best. And you run a play, you let him use his quickness, get to the basket. And he's playing against a very difficult defender in Tayshaun Prince. But Here comes Rip Hamilton on one of those marathon runs off screens. Look for him to, he's already gotten one layup. They're going to try to get him going here in this period.
That basket was the first since the 5-minute mark left in the first quarter, and inside Prince hit Ben Wallace, and that is a foul. It goes inside. It's on the Phoenix Suns. Cheryl Miller. It's on Thomas for the third time. What do you have?
Well, Kevin, Coach Saunders felt that his team shot the ball well. They shot over 50% in the first half. He said, we have to do a better job in the second half of getting Tayshaun and Rip Hamilton going. They only had 4 points in the first half. Defensively, we must do a better job of containing the Suns' perimeter shooters, guys.
With the shot clock at 4, this is Ben Wallace bulldozing his way into Kurt Thomas, and a rebound by Thomas. His numbers in rebounding at a career low right now, so anything he grabs is key. There's a foul on the play. It's on the Pistons and on Rip Hamilton for a third time. Rashad Bell picked up by Hamilton. Billups is on Nash. Thomas picked up by Ben Wallace. Nice play by Kurt Thomas. When he gets to playing like the Kurt Thomas of a season ago with the New York Knicks, this team will strengthen so unbelievable.
Well, the big thing we see is rebounding. His rebounding way down this year, so he's going to make open shots and rebound. A couple of things he's not done this year, playing much better tonight.
He's got 6 points and 4 rebounds and a game-high 21 for Chauncey Billups, scoring outside most of the first half, inside to begin the second.
Well, he's so strong. He looks like a fullback or a halfback out there in football. He's worked himself into such a well-conditioned athlete, and he's just stronger than most point guards.
Is he the strongest point guard, you think, in the league right now?
Well, I mean, he's one of them. I mean, you have to look at, Baron Davis is a powerfully built point guard. Jason Kidd is very strong. They have those builds that they look like they could be running backs in football.
Probably were when they were growing up. There's a foul on Rasheed Wallace trying to tangle with Dion. That is the first on Rasheed Wallace, who has been paying particular attention to his foul situation and also to his numbers, which right now are well below his career averages right across the board.
Well, he was getting in early foul trouble. You read a lot of the articles, and he's picking up early fouls, hand checking, and he's going to do a better job of that. And usually what happens is he works himself back into shape and gets in the kind of condition that he wants to play at. It's so early in the year that he stops getting those touch fouls out on the perimeter.
The two Wallaces have combined for 11 Detroit rebounds. Billups trying to corkscrew his way inside, and there is a foul, and it's called on Chauncey Billups, who played a couple years at the University of Colorado. That's the second on Chauncey.
No place to go here. The Suns just packed it in. You see Kurt Thomas there, always one of the best in the league. Big men drawing, charging fouls.
Here's Dion, played for the French League and the French national team. Rashad Bell, a little stutter step on Rip Hamilton. He got just the breathing space he needed to pop it, hit the three.
Well, they need him to score, Kevin. He averaged 16 the first 2 games, has only 14 the last 2 games. Tonight, back in double digits with 10.
Ben Wallace overshoots Tayshaun Prince in a turnover at the 8:59 mark, and that is the 9th turnover for the Detroit Pistons and Coach Flip Saunders. Only 5 so far for the Phoenix Suns.
I think Flip Saunders is going to take a timeout. The Detroit Pistons have come out in this third period. Phoenix has a sense of purpose trying to push this lead. Steve Nash is going to go to the line to try to finish off the 3-point play, but Flip Saunders has got to talk to his team here, get back that defensive resolve they normally have. This is way too easily that Steve Nash gets to that basket.
Billups picks up his 3rd foul, and the Suns equal their biggest lead. The Phoenix Suns have 4 in double figures. Game high 21 from Detroit's Chauncey Billups. In this week's installment of NBA Planet, we take a look back at Steve Nash's hometown of Victoria, British Columbia. He played high school basketball for St. Michael's University School. And then in his senior season, Steve averaged nearly a triple-double per game, more than 21 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds. Led his team to the BC AAA Provincial Championship title. He was named the province's Player of the Year. Because of the limited attention afforded Canadian high school basketball recruits, Steve went completely unrecruited by US NCAA schools, but did go to Santa Clara, the lone school that recruited him. Before the 92-93 season, he would go on to become the greatest player in the history of the West Coast Conference. He's at the free throw line right now. And the great thing that you see with his coach, Mike D'Antoni, is that many feel what puts the Suns in the elite is that D'Antoni trusts Nash to run the offense as Steve Nash wants to.
Well, he's got the ball out there. He sees it, and he trusts him. He's not going to turn it over. He's going to make great plays. I mean, Flip Saunders is doing that with the Chauncey Billups. He's giving him more freedom to run the team and run plays.
There's a turnover, and Nash and a whistle.
Last year, Larry Brown called most of the plays the last couple seasons. Chauncey talked about it. He said, you know, with my develop now, he says, I have a very good rapport with Flip. He trusts me. He said, Larry taught me how to do it. And he said, now, rather than look for a play call all the time, I just push that ball up the floor and make plays for our team. He said he will call a few, but he said the ball is in my hands.
Phoenix Suns tonight are shooting 50%. This is Raja Ben. He played at Florida International.
Rip Hamilton looks like he's limping a little bit. I don't know if he got banged on the leg as he tried to get through that screen, but Raja Bell's done a great job tonight taking him away from this Pistons offense.
You see Detroit is shooting 54%. Rip Hamilton for two. Rebound is chased down for the fifth time by Kurt Thomas. He triggers it to Nash for three. And the rebound off the fingertips of Bell. Nash lasers one inside to Marion. Billups is right there.
Well, you don't normally see the Detroit Pistons give up 12 offensive rebounds this early in the game.
Suns +1 overall in rebounding. The switch on defense. Bell. Nice rotation to Dion for three. Rebound by Ben Wallace. And he has now collected 7 with his 5 points.
Diaz shot a little flat. He needs to get a little bit more trajectory on that if he just keeps working on it because his mechanics look good.
Sean Prince rattles one out, but he was fouled as he was going up, and Kurt Thomas picks it up. Thomas is the 4th personal foul on him. At the free throw line will be Tayshaun Prince.
Let's watch Rip Hamilton here. Looks like he may be favoring that left ankle a little bit. Reaches back, probably rolled it over just a little bit. Much sore tomorrow. You see him lacing up his shoes, so probably roll that ankle just a little bit. When you got the adrenaline rolling and stuff, you don't feel it nearly as much as when you do. You wake up the next day and you go, man, I don't remember doing that.
He will remember that. Here's Prince. He's the only Detroit player to play in all 82 games the last 2 seasons. Very durable, but those his first points since the first quarter.
Well, Pistons are known for moments like this, having their defense get them back in games. Let's see if they can get some defensive stops.
It's Raja Bell, a late arriving defensive effort by Rip Hamilton. The Suns equal their biggest lead of 10. Phoenix is trailed by as many as 5. Leading scorer continues to be 21 points from Chauncey Billups. 12 by Nash with 6 assists leading the Phoenix Suns. Dion on Prince. Tayshaun Prince in a foul. Brian Grant in the game for the first time in the second half.
Oh, you can see how silky smooth this Tayshaun Prince is. He's going left. He's a left-handed player. Takes that ball behind his back. And right now he's trying to keep his team afloat as the Phoenix Suns have come out on fire in this third period. Tayshaun Prince really is the only guy who has it going in this period.
2 fouls on Marion. In camp, Tayshaun was having sore knees. And so what they did was they changed his shoes. Once they changed his shoes, his knees were fine. How many times have we heard about that? The shoes, they think, are the problem of ankle injuries and bad backs and hips and knees.
Well, they've got one of the best in the business, Arnie Kander there, their strength and conditioning coach. He's not here tonight. I think he's with some family in Canada. We miss Arnie, but he's the best in the business at what he does.
Sean Marion, rebound by Ben Wallace. Phoenix has now gone 7 of 11 in this third quarter. The undefeated Detroit Pistons, the only remaining undefeated team in the NBA at 4-0. And the Phoenix Suns at 2 up and 2 down. Game 2 of our TNT doubleheader. Tayshaun Prince. Rebound by Brian Grant.
No second shot opportunities here. We don't see that relentless Piston attack going to the rim.
Suns have hit 5 threes. And it stays that way. They're 5 of 12. Bell with the miss. Here comes Chauncey Billups the other way. He'll pop three Imperial. Chauncey Billups with the second 3 tonight by the Pistons. And Billups with a game-high 24 points.
Championship experience where you just don't panic. You stay in the games. You're right there. A couple defensive stops. Here's Brian Grant. He's been shooting the ball so well. Kevin, he was very upset against Sacramento the other day. They ran the last play of the game for him. Got a good look at it. It looked like he stumbled just a little bit coming out of the stack and missed the open jump shot that would have won the game.
Prince from Wallace, and here comes Rip Hamilton. Never an all-star. Shockingly enough, they go inside. Broken up beautifully by Boris Diaw. He triggers at the bell. Marion is ahead. And Nash is on the wing. And he's got the mismatch on Rasheed Wallace. And Chauncey Billups is trying to guard down low Sean Marion. That's the high pass, but it goes in and out of bounds. And a Phoenix turnover. They've got 6-11 by the Pistons.
Well, Steve Nash is very upset with himself. Chauncey Billups takes it personal down there. I know he's given up some size, but not strength on Sean Marion. You see, he gets in and takes his legs away from him so he could not jump to get that pass. That was a nice play by Chauncey Billups. I'm sure Steve Nash would like to have that pass back.
Pistons with their starters still in the game. Here's Nash watching Billups, who's got the hot hand. Chauncey. And picked up by Sean Marion, the NBA's #1 rebounder. Nash. And off the fingertips of Rasheed Wallace and out of bounds with 4:47 to play here in the third quarter.
Well, let's see now as Mike D'Antoni goes to his bench. He comes in with James Jones, who had a nice first half, 3 of 5, 1 of 2 from 3 for 7 points. Also, Leandro Barbosa, who was the leading scorer at halftime with 10, 4 of 7 off the bench. So those two guys, 17 points, have really been a spark for Phoenix tonight.
James Jones gets it out to Steve Nash. Grant the screen. Nash will work around it. Maurice Evans is in for the first time in the second half and collects the loose ball inside. And a rare turnover for Chauncey Billups. With Jones feeding Nash, they tried the alley-oop, and a great defensive play by Billups, and here comes Prince ahead to Rasheed Wallace.
We're going to call
and a technical foul on Rasheed, hanging on the rim.
You cannot pull yourself up. So Rasheed Wallace made the powerful dunk, but if you make any kind of effort to pull yourself up, they're going to call it. He went over to Phil Robinson, Jimmy Clark did, to make sure that there was nobody running underneath him where he had to protect himself. He said that was not the case, so it'll be a technical free throw for Steve Nash. Watch now here. You're going to see Raja Bell run in front of him, and it looks like he slapped the backboard with his hand. That's what he got him for, slapping the backboard with his left hand. Right there at the last moment, that's where the technical foul occurred.
Nash hits the free throw, and the Phoenix Suns on top, 71-65. Barbosa, Grant, Nash, Marion, and Jones. Grant. Rebound by Maurice Evans.
I think the Suns need a 6 or 8 point lead going into the fourth quarter to try to be able to hold this Pistons team off. You expect the Pistons to really come strong in the last 12 minutes. They need a cushion, the Phoenix Suns do.
Tayshaun Prince and a foul on Brian Grant. Prince is out there with Billups and Ben Wallace. Antonio McDyess has just come on the floor with Maurice Evans for Flip Saunders. And the foul goes on Brian Grant for the first time. So you see Hamilton and Rasheed on the bench taking a breather. These guys said last year they only had the 7-man rotation under Larry Brown. They would tire so easily late in the season in particular. Prince for 3. Foul inside. It's on Detroit, and Ben Wallace was trying to reach for the loose ball. But also they had McDyess, and McDyess will pick up the foul. And the first on Antonio McDyess.
Kevin, Detroit only has 7 offensive rebounds tonight. Sacramento had 20 on Sunday evening, so you can tell the Suns have made a conscious effort to do a better job on the defensive backboards tonight to give themselves a chance to win this game.
Jones at the free throw line, and NBA coverage continues next Thursday night on TNT. Game 1 featuring Kevin Garnett and the Timberwolves hosting the Wizards. While in Game 2, it's the Spurs and the Rockets. Coverage begins 7 o'clock Eastern here on TNT.
Kevin, I'm not going to know what to do next week. We're going to have a game that starts at like 6 o'clock rather than 9 o'clock. Our biorhythms are going to be off next week.
Get in the way of dinner.
Oh, I knew you would find a positive to that.
The Detroit Pistons are shooting 51% from the floor for the game. Most of the game they've been over 50%. Great fake by Prince, who is struggling with his shot. 2 of 7 tonight. And out of bounds, and look at the hustle by Antonio McDyess. It's off the Pistons and back to Phoenix.
I see a sense of purpose in Phoenix here in this third period. They understand, Kevin, the importance of this game. 9 of their next 11 games are at home. They've already lost 2 home games. They can ill afford to lose this game. All of a sudden, you're going to have to start going out on the road and playing. You've got to win at home.
From the Suns, shooting 47% for the game. And Sean Marion with 10, now 12. Marion's also got 8 rebounds tonight to lead the Phoenix Suns.
And when it's all said and done, he'll have 20-plus points and probably 14 rebounds. That's what he does for this team, along with playing excellent defense.
He's had a double-double every game this season.
Money in the bank.
It's knocked away by Brian Grant. There's a foul on the play. McDyess was defending. He picks up his second personal foul. And the Phoenix Suns and the Detroit Pistons will take it to the sideline with the timeout. This is hustle by Brian Grant at 33 years of age, throwing himself at the ball and into the stands.
Well, right now the Suns are playing like the team that it's the most important to win the game is for them. Right now Detroit has to match that kind of intensity.
Suns' biggest lead tonight has been 10. They're led by the 14 points of Raja Bell. Detroit led by the 24 of Billups. Normally it has been Rip Hamilton, who is off to a terrific start in the season. But tonight, as you can see, compared to the first 4 games of the year, struggling just a bit with his shot. And Rip has gone 3 of 6 from the floor.
Yeah, really has not been that involved. Raja Bell has done a pretty good job, but they've really not looked for Rip that much because Chauncey Billups has had such a great night with 24 points. But Kevin, you look at Phoenix right now. Brian Grant makes this shot. I talked about how important this game was to them. Lost 2 home games, 1 by 1 in double overtime. They're getting all the hustle plays. They have 11 offensive rebounds to 7 for Detroit. They have 6 less turnovers. They have 14 more shots at the basket. So they're shooting a lower percentage, but they're winning the game because they're getting all the hustle points. Right now, Detroit has to match that if they want to come back in this game.
Good point. Carlos Arroyo is back in the game. There's McDyess. And a tap in by Ben Wallace out there with Maurice Evans and Tayshaun Prince. Thanks to Detroit 5. Eddie House is back on the floor with James Jones, Barbosa, Brian Grant, and Sean Marion. And there is an offensive foul on the Suns. James Jones was in there trying to chisel his way free and picks up his second foul. Some numbers, points in the paint, fast break points. There's 4 games and what they have done combined tonight through almost 3 quarters.
Yeah, they get almost 60 points in those 2 areas. Tonight only 27, so the Suns have done a nice job getting back and taking away that paint.
Good fake by Prince, maneuvering for 2. A lot of people, and Prince may have come down wrong on his left foot as he hobbles back on defense. Here's Eddie House.
Remember now, Phoenix is the kind of team they're going to keep shooting the ball, so if you can get a few defensive stops, you're going to get back in the ball game. We've already seen them twice this year, both 17-point leads, so they will let you back in the game. You just got to keep your relentless attack at them on the defensive end.
Prince came down funny. The 3rd foul was put on Maurice Evans, and no one was there. Didn't land on a foot, just came down a little bit wrong on his left foot on that jumper. They got Barbosa at the line. Doug, 4-0 record for Detroit coming in, and there have been some critics around the country saying that, yeah, but who have they beaten? Any team of quality? Well, I think in a lot of people's eyes, tonight was the first game against a team of quality.
They had a great win in Boston. They were down 1. Rip Hamilton hit a shot. They were 0.8 of a second, hit a shot to win the game. There's Flip Saunders, and he was thrilled about being able to draw up that play and win that game. But the other 3 games they've won by 20, 53, and 14. They really haven't been challenged. I think Flip Saunders is happy they're in this kind of game. You keep your team's edge by playing on the road in these kind of games.
No fouls to give either way. Maurice Evans, Barbosa slipped on his defense. And Evans, who was the European Basketball Player of the Year after playing for Saunders for 1 season in Minnesota, comes up with a big shot. The drive by Barbosa, who's got as quick a step as you're going to find in the NBA.
Well, he is so fast with that basketball. I don't know if there's anybody in the league inline to inline faster on the dribble.
This is Prince, picked up by James Jones, who played at Miami. Tayshaun Prince.
Was this young guy's game just grown and grown and grown. Remember, he's coming off a 27-point, 25-point back-to-back games. Here's Barbosa, not even an ounce of hesitation.
He led Brazil to the FIBA Americas Championship this past September. Many people feel that with that leadership role, he grew in confidence, his game flourished, and we're seeing the results at the beginning of this season.
I think that's a great point. We saw that with Boris Diaw playing for France as well.
Shot clock is at 5. Jones is trying to tail Tayshaun Prince into the paint. There is a foul. It's on James Jones, tagged with his 3rd. Watch Leandro Barbosa with a good screen by Marion.
Just enough to bump off Maurice Evans to give him that open lane to the basket, and then you go underneath the pick, and Barbosa steps back and buries that 3. Remember now, this guy had 23 points in 24 minutes the other night against Sacramento. Tonight he has 16 points in 14 minutes.
Let me shift gears and go to Detroit for a second. Ron Harper's an assistant coach, a 5-time NBA champion. I thought it was interesting talking about the starting 5 for the Pistons. He said, I'd like to see more fire from our starting 5 and play hard all the time. He said, with the Bulls, we did it, and I think this team can do the same thing.
Yeah, he had a guy also on that team, Michael Jordan, that if you weren't playing hard, he would let you know in a heartbeat. But Ron will be a great addition to this staff. The championships that he won and the great players that he played with, the coaches that he played for.
Shot clock and game clock basically the same. Eddie House, Arroyo on him. House trying to beat the buzzer. Tapped in is no good by Sean Marion. What a 4th quarter we got in store. The Suns have led by as many as 11. The Pistons have led by as many as 5. 2 of the best from the East and West going head-to-head tonight in Game 2 of our TNT doubleheader. 82-74 is our score. Tomorrow night, ESPN brings you the Sixers and the Lakers. Pistons will take on the Blazers. Coverage 7:30 Eastern Time. Saturday, NBA TV gives you San Antonio at Washington. The Suns have led by 11. The Pistons have led by as many as 5. 24 points by Detroit's Chauncey Billups. But this performer, the Brazilian third-year player Leandro Barbosa, with 16 points at Phoenix High.
Well, he's played so well, Kevin. 6 of 9 from the floor, and he's playing with such great confidence. You know, you talk about the starting lineup for Phoenix. They changed their starting lineup, and it's worked well tonight. They got off to a great start in the first quarter, 9-2. In the third quarter, 14-4. There's Ben Wallace.
Ben Wallace on the miss of Arroyo.
The Pistons are coming. You know that. They're going to make a surge. It's going to be important for the Suns to keep their composure and execute and get on those boards.
This is Eddie House. Rebound by Prince for the Pistons, the only unbeaten team in the NBA at 4-0. Suns are winless at home, 0-2, but on the season 2 up and 2 down. Detroit led by 5 at the end of the first quarter. We were tied at halftime, and the Suns were up by 8 coming to the fourth. Arroyo got House on his heels. The tap-in try by McDyess. It's Boris Diaw ahead. Barbosa at the other end.
Now, Flip Saunders very unhappy. His team gets beat going back on defense. You're trying to make a run. You do not want to give up easy layups. Leandro Barbosa, by far the star of this game tonight, if he continues to finish this game the way he's played the first 3 quarters.
Prince and Arroyo with Evans, McDyess, and Ben Wallace up front for the Detroit Pistons beginning the fourth quarter, and Tayshaun Prince catching fire. He now has 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field with a couple of rebounds. Here's Barbosa. He's out there with House, and up front they've got Diaw. Jones with the shot right there, missing badly, and Brian Grant on the floor for the Phoenix Suns.
What I talked about, the Suns are going to keep launching shots. You've got to stay tough, you've got to rebound the ball, and you've got to keep putting the pressure on offense with Tayshaun Prince.
Oh, Ben Wallace up high and down down hard. What a play!
Defensive rebounding. Kevin, remember I said they've got to rebound the ball. That's 2 offensive rebounds now for scores for Ben Wallace.
And the rim is still shaking where Wallace flushed it in a row going to that rim. And a foul. Play like Wallace's can ignite a team.
See, that's what Detroit, they have the firepower and the size. You know, right now they have cranked it up. Here's the follow-up by Ben Wallace. Nobody blocks him out. This was his second follow-up of the period. And Tayshaun Prince with that little jump hook in the lane. Here is Ben Wallace. Those are those monster plays, those powerful dunks that ignite your team. And right now, Phoenix has got to gather themselves because we talked about the Pistons were going to make a run. Steve Nash is on the bench, so it's going to be up to Leandro Barbosa and Diaw to try to lead this team.
Listen to this. This is real speed. We were shaking over here. As Arroyo cans the second free throw.
That 8-point lead now already down to 3, and we've only played 2 minutes in this period. How long will Steve Nash rest before he comes back?
This is Boris Diaw inside on Antonio McDyess, and corkscrews it up for 2 and a foul called on Antonio McDyess.
He loves that little play where he drives into the lane, Kevin. Normally loves to keep going to his right. This time he spins back. I've seen more easy scores against this Piston defense in the lane than I've seen all season long. Nice big play there by Diaz. His team was sort of leading to score a couple points. A big 3-point play to push that lead back to 6.
McDyess now has 3 fouls. And take a look at first-year coach Flip Saunders. I see Hamilton out there, Doug, and he's still kind of wiggling that leg, wiggling that left foot, trying to get it to feel the same way. Who is on Arroyo? Wide open for an easy 17-footer.
Defense and rebounding last 6 minutes of the game. That's what wins games. You know the Phoenix is going to be able to score, but they've got to get stops, and they've got to rebound the ball.
This is Eddie House, picked up by Tayshaun Prince. They got a mismatch with Jones, who is 6'7", on Arroyo, who is 6'1".
Kevin, I think James Jones is a more comfortable player coming off the bench. This is what he's done throughout his career. He's in a nice rhythm tonight. He's taking good shots. Steve Nash very happy because the longer they stay ahead, the more he can rest. Maybe get to that 6:59 mark and come back the last 7 minutes of this game. It looked like right when the Pistons were making their run, back-to-back 3-point plays by Diaw and James Jones.
Arroyo picked up his second foul, and he's got the ball right now, picked up by House. 6 Suns in double figures right now. 4 for the Pistons, led by the 24 of Billups, and there's a foul, and it's inside on the Phoenix Suns.
They call it defensive 3, I think, Kevin, on Kurt Thomas.
It is. That means a shot coming up for Detroit at the 8:58 mark and a timeout taken. Detroit is trailed by 11, now to within 7. Mid-stages, 4th quarter. With a beauty on TNT tonight. We've had 8 ties and 8 lead changes in our game tonight. Let's now check out tonight's Marines teamwork play of the game. With Nash finding Sean Marion, who's got a double-double, 12 points and 10 rebounds. Marion has had a double-double in every game he has played this season as Nash and Mike D'Antoni talk things over, the MVP and the Coach of the Year from a season ago.
I love to see that when you see the coach and point guard get together, talk about the game. You get great input from Steve Nash, and then you have to make decisions as a coach. We've seen Chauncey Billups do that tonight with Flip Saunders at point guard, coach connections like quarterback and I guess offensive coordinator Kevin. They're on the same page.
Yep. Defensive 3-second was called on Phoenix. Thus the free throw by Rip Hamilton, who tonight, with only 7, we haven't seen much of Jim Jackson, and Sean Marion is taking a breather. Barbosa, Kurt Thomas, House, Diaw, and James Jones, the Phoenix 5. Arroyo still manning the point for the Detroit Pistons. McDyess and Prince. Tayshaun with the 2. Hamilton and Ben Wallace out there as well. Tayshaun Prince with 18, game-high 24 for Chauncey Billups.
Down to a one-possession game. Kevin, we still have almost 8.5 minutes to go. That's how quickly the Pistons can make it up on you.
Phoenix at 48% shooting from the floor tonight. Diaw to House. Eddie House. Rebound by McDyess, and here come the Detroit Pistons, 53% from the field, shooting tonight. Second. Again.
See, what happens is they went down to double team Rip Hamilton, and Boris Diaw got caught in the lane. You've got to be able to be out to where you can touch your man. You can be in 2.9 seconds, get out of the lane, or you can touch your defender, or excuse me, the guy that you're guarding, but you cannot stand in the lane. They want to keep that middle open. These are giveaway points right here for Rip Hamilton, who steps up. That's 2 free throws he's missed tonight.
Hamilton, who's averaging 25 points a game, has 7.
See where Ben Wallace is. Diaw is in the 3-second lane there. He's got to be able to go out and get out of that lane and then touch. He never really got himself completely out of that lane.
Pistons to within 3. Tayshaun Prince has put in 14 in the second half. Numbers on Steve Nash. Here's Arroyo with the McDyess screen. Arroyo swirls his way inside, picked up by Kurt Thomas, outlet caught by Steve Nash. And this is Barbosa, who leads the Suns with 18.
Barbosa wants to use his quickness here to attack McDyess.
They got a secondary defender in Arroyo, who comes over. Basket made by Leandro Barbosa. And a foul is called on the play. Arroyo is in there, but they go on McDyess, who picks up number 4.
Kevin, you made a great call. There was a secondary defender there. The problem was he was to the right hand of Barbosa, not to his left, so he should have been talking Arroyo to push him to his right hand where the help was. He let him go to the left, and there was no help there. That's where you have to communicate with your teammate.
Barbosa's got 20, and Doug, you mentioned it earlier on. Sunday here in a 1-point Phoenix loss to Sacramento, we'd let him with 23.
Well, if he makes this free throw, he's going to have 21 points in 18 minutes. That's big-time performance there.
The Suns have led by as many as 11. The Pistons' big lead has climbed as great as 5. Detroit is got a +7 in rebounding. That is a big stat to watch tonight. And there is a foul, which is called on Nash for a second time.
Well, Steve Nash gets caught on the screen here, and then he sees Rasheed Wallace. He just sort of pulls Rasheed down and then tries to get the foul. And the referee, Jimmy Clark, was standing there. He was all over that call. Steve Nash tried to bait him into an offensive foul, but not on that play.
That's Rip Hamilton. He's got 9, 4 of 7 in 28 minutes. Pistons are 6 of 11 shooting from the field in this fourth quarter. Nash wheels inside. Thomas tries to tap it in and does, even though Ben Wallace was breathing down his neck.
Can Phoenix close this game out? This will be very interesting to watch. They've had some struggles here early in the season, especially at home, losing close games.
Billups with 24 points in 28 minutes. Hamilton's getting hot. He's hit 2 straight. Rip has got 11. Every Piston starter is in double figures. A 3 by Nash.
What a great game. This is a high-level game. Suns know how important this is, playing against the best team in the East. The Pistons have been playing great basketball. What a huge win it would be for the Suns' confidence.
Nash has got 16 points. He now guards Billups. Doubled inside by Diaw. Wallace for 3. Good! Rasheed Wallace laces one from outside. 4 threes by the Pistons. The Suns have 6 threes tonight. Screen by Thomas. Ben Wallace is on Nash. A mismatch here. And Thomas cut in. The pass went sailing out.
Now remember what happened against Dallas. They started switching all those screens, and late in the game, the Suns got very stagnant. Remember, it was Nowitzki switching off on Nash. That time it was Ben Wallace. the Suns have to keep attacking. They cannot get stagnant and try to play with just Steve Nash trying to go one against the Detroit defense.
Barbosa is out. Raja Bell is in. A Wallace screen for Chauncey Billups. Diaw with the rebound. And the starters are out there for the Phoenix Suns tonight, as they are for the Detroit Pistons. Thomas finding Sean Marion. Volleyball by Thomas and saved by Nash in the shot clock at 4. A 3. And Nash trying to save it. Ricochets out of bounds.
See, this is where the Suns struggle, is they don't have a low post threat to be able to throw the ball in the post and get something going. So what it now comes down to is Steve Nash has got to create shots for his teammate. This is where Diaw and Barbosa have to help him out and don't hang him out with the basketball at the end of the clock.
We've got a beauty here in the desert. 5.5 to play in regulation with a 4-point Phoenix lead over the Pistons.
Well, we talked about 2 shots away from being undefeated. That was the one in opening night here, double overtime. Steve Nash misses. This is against Sacramento on Sunday, down 1. It was Brian Grant. They've won both of their road games to go 2-2, and here they are at home once again. 4-point game. They have the lead over the Detroit Pistons. The team with all the kind of championship experience. They've been to the finals twice. They've won it 2 years ago, Game 7 last year. And can Phoenix find a way to get a win that would be much needed for their psyche here at home?
Starters out there for both teams. Prince, Wallace, Hamilton, Billups for Detroit. Diaw, Marion, Thomas, Bell, Nash for Phoenix. They double Rasheed Wallace, and outside it goes to Hamilton. Tayshaun Prince has had a good scoring half, and the game's high. Game score, Billups can't knock it in. Billups has got 24.
Good defensive sequence there, Kevin.
It's Nash, Diaw, and Kurt Thomas. That's his shot, the shots that has been missing most of the season for him.
And you know he's going to make that shot. Every quote you've seen by him is, you know, just give me a chance. That shot's going to start going in. That was a big jumper to put him back up 6.
Diaw and Rasheed Wallace are battling on that left block. Now the quick double by Kurt Thomas. That means that Hamilton is open. That's a 3 by Rip Hamilton. He's on fire in this second half. 14 points.
See what happens when you go in the post, so you have to double team. It strings out your defense. A couple extra passes, you get the open 3. That's what I was talking about, Kevin, a post game.
It's Kurt Thomas again with a rebound by Rasheed Wallace, approaching 4 to play.
They should go right back into the post once again to Rasheed Wallace. They're double teaming in that situation.
And Ben Wallace this time. First a couple Suns, and a foul is called inside. It goes on Sean Marion for a 3rd time as Brian Grant will come in for Boris Diaw.
That's a good foul, though. You can't let Ben Wallace dunk that basketball. At the end of the game, you've got to make him step to the line and make free throws. No easy scores around the basket. He's a much improved free throw shooter. He's worked very hard, but you've got to make him earn it.
We've got 2 of the top 4 high-scoring teams so far in this young NBA season on display. The Detroit Pistons, the only unbeaten team in the NBA. Phoenix, which had the best record last season at 62-20, is 2-2 this season and winless at home.
How about Big Ben? Steps up and doesn't even hit the rim on either one. Knocks them both down. This is a guy who shot an air ball earlier in the game.
It is 3 of 5 from the strike tonight. Billups is on Nash, a screen by Thomas, and a drive by Steve into Grant. What a pass by Steve Nash, who has 8 assists and 16 points.
How good was that play by Steve Nash? He did everything except make the basket for Brian Grant. They drop it in the post, get the double team.
Mismatch, Hamilton picked up by Kurt Thomas. Slam in won't work right there for Ben Wallace, but a fresh 24, the offensive rebound by Hamilton. Back out of bounds by Nash. Shot clock at 20.
Boy, Kurt Thomas and Brian Grant are going to be tested along with Sean Marion. They got their 3 best rebounders on the floor. Here is Nash. Look at this play. Finds Brian Grant, who finishes over Ben Wallace, but These guys, the Suns, have got to find a way to rebound here in the last few moments.
Wallace for three. Rasheed Wallace hits another triple. 6 threes for the Pistons, 6 threes for the Suns. We're tied at 102.
Here's the switch again. Now you got Nash against Wallace. Got to go quickly. You can't let that clock get down. This is where they got themselves in trouble against Dallas.
Nash over Ben Wallace. Steve Nash has put in 18 points. Pistons haven't led since late in the first half. It's Wallace for the lead. And a three which was missed and a rebound by Kurt Thomas and off to Nash. Grant with the screen.
Now it's Steve Nash going against Rasheed Wallace. He's got the step-back jumper if he wants to take it. Rasheed giving him a lot of space.
Suns 50% from the field.
Oh no, Steve with a 360. I mean, he's got to be so tired. He's expending so much energy right now.
Screen by Thomas, a two by Nash. Rebound by Ben Wallace, who gathers in his 14th rebound tonight. And a timeout taken by Detroit. 1:50 left in regulation.
Now Rasheed Wallace, known for these big threes, has such great range, steps out on the floor, knocks it down, and Steve Nash comes right back. What a tough shot over the Defensive Player of the Year, Ben Wallace. 2-point lead for Phoenix. Can they hold on?
Every Detroit Pistons scorer and starter in double figures. Same with the Phoenix Suns. 21 by Barbosa leads Phoenix, 24 by the Pistons. Chauncey Billups leading Detroit.
Well, it's interesting. You look at Mike D'Antoni. He's gone with a bigger lineup. Barbosa's out of the game. He's got Raja Bell and Nash at the guards. Marion, Grant, and Thomas along the front line because they need size to be able to rebound that ball. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they can get a stop here, or even if not, if Phoenix takes a timeout and tries to get Barbosa on the floor for some offense.
Rolling on starter on the floor, Brian Grant for the Phoenix Suns. Chauncey Billups picked up by Steve Nash. Off to Hamilton with the screen by Ben Wallace. And Richard Hamilton has been terrific in this fourth quarter. 16 for the game, but in the fourth he's put in 10.
Where are they going to get a hoop here? And all Steve Nash here trying to work against his team to get a shot for himself or one of his teammates.
With the switch on defense, Rasheed Wallace intercepts the pass. We are tied. Remember that Detroit has not led since late in the first half at the 3-minute mark of the second quarter. Hamilton for the lead. Good! Rip Hamilton.
That's unbelievable. I mean, Rip Hamilton was nowhere to be found in the first three quarters. He has hit some unbelievable shots. So they have no post game here, so Nash is caught with the ball again. No one can get their own shot.
Shot clock at 7. Thomas losing it inside and picked up by Detroit and the defensive-minded Tayshaun Prince.
So go back to Rip Hamilton once again. He's going to be running off a lot of screens. Raja Bell's got to get some help when he comes off this pick.
Hamilton. Chauncey Billups for three. Good! Chauncey Billups! That's the killer! And the Pistons up by 5. Billups getting his first field goal since the 6:05 mark left in the third. A game-high 27 points for Chauncey Billups.
This is championship experience in balance. This is Rip Hamilton coming off a double screen. No one gives help. Here he is once again. This time Raja Bell gets a hand up. This is the shot that gave him a 2-point lead. And then Billups, they call him Big Shot there. Big Shot Chauncey Billups. Mr. Big Shot. and he nailed it to give them a 5-point lead.
The Phoenix Suns led by 6 with 5 minutes to play. Detroit is on a 15-4 run. Rip Hamilton has been sensational down the stretch.
Well, you know, Kevin, it's their experience. They know where to go, but they've got balance. And unfortunately for Phoenix, with no Amari Stoudemire, no Joe Johnson, at the end of the games, I feel sort of bad for Steve Nash. He gets sort of hung out there with the ball, and he's trying to create something for everybody, either a shot for himself or a teammate. You know, Barbosa was playing well. Mike D'Antoni chose to take him out of the game and go with a bigger lineup. But Steve Nash needs some help. They can't ask him to make every play at the end of the game. This is sort of a carbon copy of the game we saw against Dallas in here when they blew a 17-point lead and lost in double overtime.
Both teams have a foul to give. 16.8 to play in regulation. House for 3. It's picked up by Tayshaun Prince. That'll do it. Ben Wallace puts the exclamation mark on a big-time Detroit Piston win. And folks, they remain the only unbeaten team in the NBA. And for the first time in 17 years, the Detroit Pistons have started 5-0. A sensational win by the 2-time defending Eastern Conference champions.
And a devastating loss for Phoenix, because Phoenix knew how tough this Detroit team was, and it looked like they were in a great position. Now this is 3 straight home losses, all winnable games that they were winning in the fourth quarter or late, that they couldn't find a way to close. And Kevin, remember we did the game in here, the first game of the year for Dallas, and I said the biggest challenge for them is going to be to find out how to close games without Amari Stoudemire and Joe Johnson. This is early in the season, but they have not been able to do it against quality teams in here.
Hamilton had 18, a terrific fourth quarter. Chauncey Billups had 27. That's a game high. Let's go to Cheryl Miller.
Chauncey, this team obviously off to their best start since the 96-97 season. 5-0, just another day's work.
Yeah, another tough day's work playing this team. You know, you're going to have your track shoes on. They're definitely a challenge for us and anybody. But, I mean, with Steve Nash out there, you always got a chance, and he's just a great player. But today, you know, we had too many guys that hurt him.
You know, talk about this is the best start of the team so far in 17 years, but talk about the depth of this team.
I mean, I'm so excited about this team because our bench is back. Like when we won the championship, our bench was great. It was the best in the league, and now, you know, I think that we're the best in the league again coming off the bench. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a long season.
All right. Well, Rip, Coach Saunders said at halftime that he needed to get you more involved in the second half. You only had 4 points in the first half. How'd you get yourself going in the second?
I had to figure out how he was guarding me. You know, I think every time I try to curl and try to get into the paint, they kind of collapsed on me. So in the fourth quarter, I just told myself, I got to catch and shoot. That's the only option there. Chauncey did a great job of finding me, and I knocked the shots down.
Well, you've said all along it's pick your poison with this team. If you're a little bit off, big shot, Chauncey hits it, Tayshaun Prince. The depth of this team is incredible. You guys are playing great basketball right now.
Man, everybody stepped up. Ben had tremendous on the boards, him and Rashid. Tay stepped up. Chauncey hit big shots. You know, the bench was great, and we got the win.
All right, congratulations.
Hey, and tell Doug, man, hey, Eminem Collins, man, change that color of hair, man.
Hamilton and Billups outscored Bell and Nash by 15. The Suns led by 6. The Pistons finished the game on a 17-4 run. Our producer, Scott Cockrell. Our director, Lonnie Dale. Special thanks to Jeff Paris, Sam Paulus, and Jeremy Levin. For Cheryl Miller and Doug Collins, Kevin Harlan saying so long. The Pistons win it. Let's go to Atlanta and Herman Johnson.